As we all know, items are banned in competitive Smash. So while all casual items are banned, there are some items that are spared. These are, of course, the items that are summoned by characters themselves, such as Link's Bomb or Diddy's Banana. This made me start to wonder and investigate something. What is the best item in competitive Smash? So join me in my quest to find.
He's already doing a fantastic job! Oh my goodness! You're gone!
What is this? Is this Mutate? Is he alive? Did he just win? Mutate! Gyro down! Oh, the Gyro double! Does he find the kill?
We're gonna keep this one even again. Oh my God! Oh my God! What is he doing? What? He's back at top to me!
He's so good!
Unlike projectiles, in which each one is very unique in its own way, most items share the same universal mechanics. Once you have an item in your hand, most of them allow you to carry them and throw them whenever you like, giving you the opportunity to mix up your timing until you decide to let it go. You know you've successfully picked up an item when you see this green little aura effect, as well as when you hear this sound. An important thing to note is that unlike projectiles, items can be grabbed after they're thrown, so make sure to keep this in mind. Another unique mechanic about items is that they can be thrown directly out of shield stun, allowing you to punish things you normally wouldn't be able to. This makes throwing an item out of shield stun a very safe and reliable option.
Man, it's grab. Oh, that's it! Sir!
However, a huge limitation when you have an item in hand is that you can only use specials on the ground, so you can't do things like jabs, tilts, grabs, or smash attacks. This can lead to situations where you're restricting yourself by holding an item and limiting what options you can actually do. However, by doing this trick, you can have much more freedom in the air. Let me show you how it's performed because you'll be seeing a lot of it. With your item in hand, press C or whatever your grab button is set to. Then immediately do an aerial, and you'll re-grab the item while doing your aerial of choice. This mechanic is what allows for certain item toss combos to work, like this. One solid candidate for the strongest item is Peach's Turnip. Turnip has a lot of unique mechanics and strengths, and I want to showcase them properly. It may seem a bit convoluted at first, but let's break it down one by one. First off, it vanishes on contact with a shield. So instead of going through it or bouncing off, it'll just vanish, and neither player will be able to get it. A more complicated mechanic behind Turnip is its RNG, so I'll go over how it works with the help of a visual. Thanks to this lovely graphic made by Cirxid, we can help visualize the difference between each turnip. The green turnips are the most common with the 89% chance of being pulled. Winky Face has a 6.9 chance of being pulled, and Dot Eyes and Stitch Face both have a 1.7% chance of being pulled out. With the rarer the turnip, the more damage and knockback it usually deals. There's also a 1% chance of getting one of two items, whether it be Mr. Saturn or Bob-omb. On the occasion that Peach gets lucky, this makes her much more of a threat in an instant.
That was definitely a moment where you could have seen the match.
Oh,
It said the Stitch thrown out the Nair into Stitch. What can you do in that situation?
Mute Ace's RNG has been just destructive in this top 8.
A more simple mechanic of using Turnip is that once you press down B, you just get the Turnip. It's pretty straightforward, and you don't have to do any weird tricks or motions to get the item to actually be held, which we'll cover a bit more later. Peach also has the unique and helpful mechanic of not throwing an item when doing float, so she can do multiple aerials while holding up to a turnip or any other item that she may hold. This is what makes it possible for something like this to happen.
Oh, echt gelijk de bom op. Dat is die top player privilege. Wow. Oh my god, mom.
One downside, however, about Turnip is that it can't be summoned or pulled in the air. So spamming down B in the air will just result in nothing happening. All in all, Turnip is a really solid projectile that demands respect whenever it's pulled, and can be used for some pretty insane combos with the right execution.
Okay.
But it does have a few things preventing it from being the best item. For one, the execution barrier to actually pull off a lot of the fancy combos and clips you may see flying around is pretty high, and are very prone to failing or just dropping.
If you are just starting out, this combo is the easiest, and I would recommend starting with it to get a feel for Peach's inputs.
So even the best Peach players in the world are prone to dropping these combos. So they're not always reliable. So let's head over to a less complex but equally formidable item. Let's cover some basic mechanics behind Banana. When getting Banana, it is summoned by being thrown behind Diddy at an arc before he can actually go get it and pick it up as a normal item. However, it still hits opponents when it's being summoned and thrown behind him, making this not always a bad thing. Another property that Banana has is that it bounces off enemy shields. So if an opponent is ready, they can catch it once it's thrown and it bounces off their shield. And of course, there's the main ability of it stunning or tripping an opponent for a second. It can also be used twice before it disappears, allowing you to use it back to back before you decide to actually hit your opponent. This makes Banana a very formidable item. It's definitely an item that you want to watch out for and always be on your toes to prevent Diddy from getting a conversion off of it. While you may not be able to get fancy 0-to-death combos with it, you can still dish out good damage and reliable kill confirms. While definitely a solid item, it falls short of being the best due to its risky nature. Pulling out Banana at the wrong time or without proper space between you and your opponent can possibly get you punished. Due to its easy to understand mechanic, it can be used effectively by the opponents, on the relatively common chance that they do get to grab Banana themselves, so they can hold onto it with C-drop aerials and prevent Diddy from getting it again. And of course, it can simply be used against Diddy himself. Also, check out Elijman, he makes pretty cool content. Now, before crowning the best item, I did want to go over a few honorable mentions. Snake's grenade is instant and acts as a frame 1 combo breaker. Snake can use grenades to slowly chip on damage to the opponent. He can effectively turn the stage into a minefield, as grenades will blow up by themselves after a few seconds, as well as blow up when hit. It can even make trying to hit Snake risky, as he can shield while holding a grenade and combo you out of it, as well as serves as a nice recovery mix-up tool. Overall, it has a tendency to be a chaotic item, and while yes, it can do wonders when used properly, it requires high maintenance, as it can turn on Snake at any moment. Pac-Man's bonus fruit is an extremely solid neutral special, with each fruit or item having its own role, such as apple and key killing at higher percents. But the start of the show is Bell, traveling in a very unique arc and stunning opponents for easy kill confirms. Pac-Man's bonus fruit demands a lot of respect, but he also has a lot of caveats keeping it from being the best. For one, you can't C-drop aerial to cash your own item as Pac-Man, which removes a lot of mix-up potential. And in the case the opponent is able to grab your item, all your other bonus fruits are unavailable.
Quel set. Non mais c'est un set de fou, là vraiment. Oh, c'est un set de... Oh aïe aïe aïe. Oh là 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 là. Diddy est choqué. Diddy, qu'est-ce qu'il dit?
all of that out of the way, it's time to actually talk about the best item, and everything it does to be worthy of the crown. First, let me quickly go over how it works. By pressing down B, R.O.B summons Gyro in a charging state, which only takes 2 seconds to fully charge, after which he can release it at high speeds. How far Gyro goes depends on how much it's charged. After being thrown, Gyro will spin on the ground, and if picked up by R.O.B himself, he can press down B again to put it back, and is ready for use again at any time. Something of note is that when R.O.B uses Gyro, the direction that Gyro will spin is determined entirely by RNG. When Gyro hits an opponent's shield, it will immediately disappear. This allows for R.O.B to use Gyro over and over again, as there is no cooldown once Gyro disappears. Gyro can also be cancelled at any time during its charging state, immediately, whether it be in the ground or in the air. This even allows R.O.B to be able to reverse his momentum using Gyro if he wants to. With all that out of the way, we can finally get into the spicy stuff. What makes Gyro so strong? Just about everything. Well, it's a lot. Trust me. First, let's go over how fast Gyro comes out. If released fast enough, it can come out in frame 10. Making it completely unreactable. Even at a more common distance, like this, Gyro travels considerably fast, giving opponents less than half a second to be able to react to it, such as here, when Gyro is able to reach Roy in 25 frames. So not only is it extremely hard to react to, it's also extremely hard to approach, because R.O.B can release Gyro anytime he wants. This makes approaching him really awkward and risky. You're also not safe from the air, as he can jump and cover that area really easily as well. R.O.B can also just shield and cancel Gyro anytime he wants, allowing him to punish opponents who think they can force an opening. Now with all these things surrounding Gyro, let's talk about the item itself. Simply throwing it and using its constantly active hitbox can allow you to combo it into itself multiple times and even get a kill off of it.
Oh, the gyro combo! Does he find the kill? Oh!
Speaking of, let's cover the most notorious part of Gyro, the combos. These use the previously mentioned methods of throwing and catching an item over and over again. No matter if the opponent is light, heavy, or a fast faller, R.O.B has access to 0 to dust combos on the entirety of the cast, all thanks to Gyro. Of course, doesn't mean the opponent has to be at 0%. With Gyro, R.O.B can kill at nearly any percent. The more common Gyro combos have relatively easy execution. I'm pretty confident that with just a little practice, just about anyone is able to do the 0 to death. Let's go step by step. First, you do a seated up nair on your opponent, then repeat it while being close to them so that Gyro hits them. And finally, you're just going to jump again, throw Gyro at them, and then do side B. And that's essentially it, with there being slight variations depending on the character weight and percentage. Compared to other characters' 0 to death combos using their items, the ones using R.O.B's Gyro are way more easy and more practical to use in a real match.
Look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power.
In an instant, a Gyro combo can change the tide of any match.
I like the way that Akula has been able to use that minecart in between the middle of those two blocks that he's got set up. But look at these.
Oh my god!
He doesn't shoot.
Gyro also has various uses at ledge. When Gyro is thrown, what direction Gyro will send the opponent depends on which direction R.O.B is facing. This can lead to follow-ups or combos depending on which direction you want to send your opponent. And of course, this doesn't necessarily have to be on ledge. This makes it an amazing pressure tool at ledge. And of course, Gyro is extremely effective at ledge guarding. Due to its very horizontal angle, getting hit by it can send some characters to an early grave. What's really fascinating about Gyro's edge guarding is that it can cover nearly any angle, whether it be low or farther away. Gyro can also be used when R.O.B himself is off stage to pressure opponents on stage. Gyro can also be used when jumping back from ledge and make it easier to get back on stage. With all the strengths that Gyro has, I think it's only appropriate to talk about some of the downsides or risks that it has, or rather, the lack thereof. First things first, when Gyro is thrown, it's actually hard to pick it up, due to it having a hitbox and it's swaying backwards and forwards. This actually makes it risky for an opponent to try to pick it up, as they might accidentally hit it towards R.O.B, where he can use it again. There's pretty much no risk just spamming Gyro. After all, if it hits the shield, you can just use it again. And remember, it's unreactable, so they have to respect it. Now, you may be thinking, well, what about those clips where the opponent uses Gyro against R.O.B and they get a sick combo off of it?
Oh, wait, that was so sick! That was so fucking sick! Wait.
These may seem scary to get hit by, but realistically, this is not what's going to happen to you if the opponent gets a hold of Gyro. Do note that I'm not denying the slim chance that you might get hit by a sick Gyro combo. Just don't think that just because the opponent has Gyro, that this will happen to you. Another important thing to note is that because Gyro disappears when it comes in contact with shield, you can just shield and wait for Gyro to make contact with you so you can use it against them. So while yes, getting your own Gyro used against you is possible, I'm not denying that, it'll most likely not be as bad or as often as you think. Just don't overextend when the opponent has Gyro, and try to shield more if you like. In fact, something that's very common to happen is that when an opponent picks up Gyro, they'll just awkwardly throw it up or away so that R.O.B can't use it for a few seconds before he can just use it again. You also don't really have to worry about Gyro being reflected because most of the time it won't be sent back directly to you. In fact, in some cases, it just goes somewhere completely else. Oh yeah, and here's a few more things R.O.B's Gyro is good at. Because it has a heart box, it can actually tank some projectiles. This is really helpful because not only can it deny some projectiles, but it can also deter the opponent from using them more. Gyro can also interrupt certain attacks mid-action, such as Bayonetta's side B. This can make it a bit more tricky and complicated to approach R.O.B, as you can no longer do so as you would normally. This can also make it an efficient tool against characters like Steve, as Gyro will beat out minecart directly. This also causes little things like Gyro clanking with an attack, making it have more end lag, and allowing R.O.B to get more follow-ups off of it.
Prefiere aceptar situación, no quiere ponerse en una situación que sabe que a lo mejor lo hubiera quitado las tops. Sea upper, va a matar.
And there's way more R.O.B Gyro tech that I could be including, made by the R.O.B main community, such as Lucretio's various videos showing stuff like getting a guaranteed grab when using Gyro on somebody's shield.
44 frames, or rather, he lands on the 44th frame, counting from frame 1 of jump squat. If R.O.B Z drops the gyro on frame 42 or gets the gyro to hit the shield on frame 43, the opponent is locked into 8 frames of stun before they can act. R.O.B suffers 2 frames of soft landing lag before he can input his frame 6 grab. Generally, opponents' fastest options out of shield is spot dodge, whereby the invincibility occurs frame 3. However, the grab will have connected before frame 3.
Now, to wrap this all up, I wanted to use one word to describe R.O.B's gyro. Omnipresent. Let me show you what I mean. When you play against other characters that just happen to have items, you don't really need to worry about it until they pull it out. Until they do, you can just play normally. And once they do pull out the item, you have enough time to react and adapt accordingly. However, R.O.B's gyro feels like this. This is essentially what it is. Really think about it for a minute. How often do you have to worry about R.O.B's gyro? You have to keep it in mind during neutral, disadvantage, sometimes even advantage state, when recovering, when at ledge, when R.O.B himself is the one recovering or at ledge, at close, medium, and far ranges, when you're at low percents because he can do 0 to death combos with it, as well as medium to high percents because he can get kill confirms off of it. This means you have to worry about using gyro for about 90% of the match, with there only being really brief intervals where gyro isn't something to worry about. And this is why I truly believe that gyro is the best item in competitive Smash. There just isn't anything quite like it. There's nothing that can offer you all of this in one. I hope I was able to make this viewing experience kind of fun, so if you liked it, please consider subscribing, and thank you!